found this description of an intermediate learner of the English language. Can speak and understand reasonably well and can use basic tenses, but has problems with more complex grammar and vocabulary. You might have heard of the deep relationship between music and language, and so it only makes sense to look at common language levels and use them to categorize us as guitarists. At the end of this video, you'll know if you're an intermediate guitarist or not. But way more importantly, you'll have a clear overview of all the things one should practice to reach that level. Let's see. An intermediate guitarist should have no problem playing all 8 open essential chords. And those are E major, A major, D, G, C, E minor, A minor, and D minor. And most of us guitarists start with those chords anyway, and I think it's a great start. Just in case you ever want to teach someone to play guitar, start with those chords. Because the cool thing here is you get to hear the full sound of your guitar instantly. You play all 6 strings with that E minor chord here, for example, and you hear the full guitar, and that is a lot of fun. Instead, if you started to play with melody, you hear 1 string and you play those open strings first, and often that doesn't sound that good at the beginning. An intermediate guitarist should have solid strumming. That would be the next step anyway. If you learned your chords here, the next thing would be to have a look at your right hand, your rhythm hand, and get to know strumming patterns. And solid strumming, I mean that you have like 3 of your favorite strumming patterns ready to go, that you feel safe playing them. For example, this one here. And that you're able to play that not just once or twice, but that you can play that like for 3 minutes straight without having any major troubles. That could be also this one here. Or maybe something like that, and you feel comfortable doing that with your chord changes and everything. Identifying simple chords and simple strumming patterns is the next cool thing, and I think every intermediate guitarist should have that ability. So if I played a chord like that you would know it's a minor chord and not a major chord. Just here is the difference. This would be major, and this is minor. It's the one that I played first. And so major chord is that uplifting, more open, more bright sounding chord. And then minor is more sad, more melancholic sounding, less bright, less open chord. And then that you would be able to, with a little bit of time, figure out which of the 8 open chords I played here. And this was D, by the way, D minor and D major that I played. And also if you hear like a clear strumming pattern on a recording, and I don't mean like something very wild and not something that changes every bar, but really a clear strumming pattern that you can identify it and with a little bit of time can figure it out yourself. That would be, for example, Four Non Blondes, What's Up, or Zombie by the Cranberries, something like that. I've experienced that a lot. So being in a band with people you never met before. And then sometimes it happens that you have musicians that are very good on their instrument or very good singers, but there's a major gap between their ability and their theoretical knowledge, and they can't express at all what they want. So they might have something in mind how the end result should sound, but they can't say it. So and with that here, I mean that you have like basic things that you have, like for example this, and yet you would know it's 4/4 time signature, and I'm playing C major here, simple things like that. Or if someone says, for the intro, let's jam on G major, that you would know, okay, this is my G major chord here, so I can safely take this fingering here and it should be fine. Something like that. Or that you can count in other people, that's also handy. So that you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you start in that very tempo that you counted in. And that happens a lot, that people count in and it's not the tempo that they want for the music then, which doesn't make sense. So simple things like that help to communicate with other musicians. Having solid right hand technique is another point on my list, and with that I don't mean that you should be able to play all techniques for the right hand. I just mean that you should feel comfortable playing the one that you chose as your favorite. So let's say your favorite technique for the right hand would be to play with the guitar pick, then that you feel comfortable doing that, that you don't think about it that much. And then you could struggle with other techniques, like say finger picking, that you feel uncomfortable doing that because mainly you do it with the guitar pick. Or the other way around, you like finger picking and you play with fingers and feel comfortable doing that, but the moment you take a guitar pick, you feel uncomfortable. If you need any help with your guitar playing, check out highguitar.com, where you can get one-on-one lessons. I understand how frustrating it is to be enthusiastic about guitar playing, but not know where to start or what to do next. And that's why every month I help dozens of people just like you to learn guitar quickly, and I'd love to do the same for you. Knowing how to read music. And with that, I don't mean like musical notation. I just mean any notation that is relevant for the guitar. So let's say, for example, the chord shapes, you see them often in those chord charts, and that you know, okay, that line on the left side, that is my top string here. And when there's a dot on the third fret here, I have to put my finger here and then here again for the other dot. Simple things like that. Or that you can that you have like lyrics and their chords written on over them, that you know those chords and you can play along with that kind of sheet with the lyrics and the chords. Or for example, that you can read tabs, that you know those lines are my strings here and the number is the fret number, and I place my finger here and then I play the note that is written down there. Simple things like that. An intermediate guitarist knows if something is odd, if something doesn't sound quite right. So for example, if your guitar is slightly out of tune, that you would recognize that and that you would try to do something against it. Or for example, you're playing along with the recording and the recording is not on standard 440 Hertz tuning, like we usually tune our guitars, but it's different, and you play along with it and you know, oh no, that doesn't sound good, I have to do something against it. Or that you or someone in the band is playing behind a bar behind or a bar ahead, that you would recognize that doesn't sound right, what can I do against it? Playing complete songs is a major hurdle for beginners, and this is because even if the song is very, very simple, one chord or two chords, and a simple strumming pattern, it takes a lot more to really play a complete song. It takes a lot of concentration and ability and just feeling comfortable, not thinking that much about what you're doing, to really play like 3 minutes straight or 4 minutes straight. So if you're an intermediate guitarist, you would have like at least 3 songs that you can play completely from beginning to end. An intermediate guitarist starts to have a closer look at something specific. And with that, I mean, you know that you have the basics here on the guitar. You feel like you're interested in, let's say, blues guitar, or you're interested in jazz guitar, or you're interested in fingerstyle playing. And you start to watch videos on that topic. You buy a book on that topic. You get a course on that topic. And you feel interested in that, and you try to figure out which special techniques you need for that, and you try to play those kind of things on the guitar, that stage, I mean. So are you an intermediate guitarist? And before you answer that, let me explain a few things. What I'm trying to do here is just giving you an overview of all the things there are at the stage you might be at. And there's so many exceptions from all that that it really just doesn't matter. So you can meet like absolutely fantastic musicians who don't know anything about music theory and can't read music at all, and it doesn't matter because they can play. Or you can have someone who's fantastic in a niche, let's say a rock guitarist who can't play any jazz chords and can't play any jazz standards. And that's totally okay. That doesn't mean that someone is better than the other. What I'm trying to give you is an overview of all the things to take you from the level that you are at to the next level, and therefore it's helpful to know where you stand. If your answer was no, I'm not an intermediate guitar player, it could mean two things. So either you're not an intermediate yet, which means you're like more like a guitar beginner. Then my suggestion here is take that one thing that you feel like you're missing, that one thing that I was talking about that you don't know anything about. So let's say you can play your chords, you can play your strumming, but you don't know anything about music theory. Then have a look at music theory, because it will enrich your guitar playing. It will make your whole guitar experience so much better. And the other thing could be that you're ahead of an intermediate guitarist. And then my suggestion would be, there is that one thing specific that you want. So let's say I want to learn blues guitar, and then really get into that niche and learn all those techniques within that niche. Let's say, for example, playing with the slide, or learning vibrato, or learning all those blues licks, learning different blues forms, having the chords ready, all those kind of details within that niche, and that will bring you to the next level. Intermediate or not, this is for everyone. If you want to strum like a pro, then this is your next watch.